bum 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 ba-da-da-dum bum bum ba-dum ba-ba-dum bum 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 ba-dum bum 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 ba-da-da-dum bum bum ba-dum ba-ba-dum. Hello, my friends. It's Monday night, and this is what we do. I love it. Great to see you all, everybody coming in from Santiago, Dominican Republic. Hi, Betty Rodriguez and Juliet from Arizona. And oh my, it's so much fun to see everyone. And hi, Susie B. Hi from Oklahoma, says Angela. Hello from East Texas. Another Texan above her. Naples, Florida, DC. Oh, it's so great to see everyone. Hi, Bob Dunbar, Bob and Deb. Nice to see you here. I don't think I've seen you in a while. San Diego, wonderful to see you. Tell me if you're new, friends. Love to hear it. You don't have to be necessarily brand new, but fairly new to joining us on these Monday nights. So, my name is Joette Calabrese, for those of you who don't know me. And we do one thing every Monday night at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, one thing and one thing only. We work on homeopathy. I teach you what I know. I share with you my information and gleaned information from many other avenues and venues and teachers and my own clinical work. And so that's what we do on Monday nights. And for those of you who already know me, hi, friends. It's always great to see you. So, hi ho, Silver, and away we go. Let's get started. We got a lot to talk about tonight. One thing I want to say is that I want to remind you all, I'm not a medical doctor. And just in case, for those of you, oh, hi, Perry.
Could you move?
Yes.
Look at yourself.
Yes, okay. You want me to move this way, I think. So, I have to move over because apparently Facebook is not catching all of this. Instagram, sorry, Instagram. You can hear me, right? So, just a reminder, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not prescribing. I'm teaching. I'm sharing. I'm giving you information that I've gleaned through the years in my own practice and with my family and with people around me and my students, my academy students. By the way, our class of 2027 has just begun. We have a nice, robust class. A couple people are still straggling in. Every once in a while we hear, oh, yeah. Can I get in? I'm going to be a little bit late. Can I get in? Yeah, and we often allow that to happen from time to time. So that's very exciting. And I also should show you this. I can't remember if I showed you this last time. I now have a kit. This is with a boron, Practical Homeopathy Home Kit. And it is available through boron. And I don't know if Serena is here tonight, or I think it's Serena. So Serena, if you could put the link in so people can purchase the kit should they be interested. And it's many potencies. It's 4 potencies. It's 200s, 30s, 3s, 6s, and 3s. And it's because they are specific to how I use these homeopathic medicines in a protocol. That's the outer box. This is the actual box that you open up and you have all your remedies all lined up. I was kind of playing around with it today. All the remedies are lined up in there. I put them in alphabetical order. We also have oscillococcinum. So this was a collaboration with boron, and I'm really pretty excited about it. We've been working on this for about a year, 48 remedies. So now I just want you to know, I don't make anything on this kit. Every penny that comes in from this kit that is attributable to me is going to our foundation to help the Banerjee Foundation in Calcutta and a couple of other health freedom organizations in the U.S. So it's a non-for-profit 501c3. So I don't know that you'll be able to get a tax deduction because you're purchasing it. If you decide to do this, you purchase through boron, and then when we collect it, we automatically give it to our foundation. So kind of exciting news. All right, so what else do we need to talk about? Let me just see who else is here, because it's always fun for me, and especially new people, and I'd love to see where you're from. Hi, everyone. Hi from North Arizona, says Kathy. Hello, Buffy. Great name. Hi, Esther. Hi, Harry. Hello from Winslow, Arizona, says Diane, and Shelley from Wisconsin, and Kathy. The sound is not good. Okay, tell me, is the sound better once I'm very, very close to the microphone? Joette sounds very soft. This happens every week. It's so strange because I do podcasts and all kinds of things. The sound is still low. Okay, now tell me. Can't hear well. Can't hear well. Yes, the sound is low. Does it make a difference now? Let me catch up with what everybody is saying about my sound. Yes, thank you very much. Congratulations. Yes, congratulations. All right. Still can't hear you. Perry, are you listening to this? Can you hear me? Just say, yes, I hear. Yes, I hear. Yes, a bit better. Okay, I'll get super close. Okay, there's going to be a popping sound somewhat. Hear just fine, says Tina. So some are hearing just fine, others are not. Yes, the mic is the issue. That's really strange because my mic is very close to the mic, is very much. Okay, all right. All righty. Had to unmute the. I had to unmute the video and then move back. Okay, good. Yes, stay close to the mic. Good. Very good. All right, I will do that. And if again I move away a little bit too far from the. Pardon me. Yeah, turn up your volume because sometimes that's the problem. And I know that you want me over there, Perry, but it's the only way that I can. This microphone won't stretch any further, so this is as far as I can go. So I'm going to stay close to the microphone so folks can hear me. All right, let's talk about what we talked on the front pages of many newspapers right now. Right? These are it's constant about diarrhea, and when we're finished with this particular noted condition, there will be another and then another. I just turned up my sound and it is okay. Turn mic toward the mouth. Okay, not side of the mouth. Like this. You want me to go like this, Susie? Susie, does that make a difference? Okay, good. All right, I am doing that now. Good. Um, and so, my friends, talked about this a little bit last week, but I wanted to go into a little bit more in depth. I think I may even have told you the remedy that I think is most likely, or some of the remedies I think is most likely to be useful for this condition. Point the mic towards me. I'm doing that. Thank you, Harry. Okay. My volume is maxed, can barely hear. I'm so sorry. I don't understand. Okay, others can hear. Others are saying yes, they can hear me. I'll just keep popping my P's into the microphone and directly into it. Okay, so let's talk about this because diarrhea is, regardless of what the microorganism is called. I just want you to remember this. Now, this is not 100% with homeopathy, but more often than not, regardless of the microorganism, what the name of it is, regardless of the etiology, the cause, what we're using more often than not in our beautiful homeopathy is symptoms. Symptoms are king. They're queen. They're prince and princess. Symptoms are everything. We use the symptoms because long before there was a cyclosporiasis, there was diarrhea long before it was identified. Leptospirosis in Cuba, diarrhea that's associated with unknown fevers. It's still diarrhea. So I want to remind you that to not be afraid. Sound is great. Sound is great. Thank you. Thank you, Harry. And so, Grazia, I'm going to ask my team to please put the new remedy kit link in the chat. Boron carries it, so you can actually go to Boron and look under kits, and mine will be the first one, I think, because it's the freshest one. And so we're looking at the symptoms. What are the symptoms? Well, let's talk about that for a minute. It's going to get a little gross tonight, but hey, we have to do this, don't we? So I'm going to look in my repertory, first of all. This is Robin Murphy's 4th edition of the Meta Repertory. And we use this when we don't know what to use, but I have taught time and again how to treat diarrhea. There are a number of remedies, and I want you to see this. There are so many remedies, it's about 1/2 the page. And it is right here. I don't know if you can see this. Do you see all that writing down there? right down there. Those are all the names of homeopathic remedies specific for diarrhea. But we also have more specific information, haven't we? The information we have now is it's a certain kind of diarrhea. It's often, as they say, explosive. So I'm going to look in my repertory and look under explosive. All right. So now I was in the section under clinical. I was on page 2184. Now I'm going to go to page 1743 and look at stool, forcible, bursts, or explosive. And we're also looking under, well, this is actually under rectum. Rectum? Hardly knew him. Anyway, couldn't resist. That's something one of my sons would have said. So if we're looking under rectum and then stools, on page 1742, under explosive, we see only 2 homeopathic remedies. Hydrogenium and viscous album. Now, this is so fascinating because it's an album. I don't know that there's really any relationship. Viscous album is mistletoe, and album means white in Latin and for plants. And viscous album, it tells us that the berries for this particular viscum are white berries. That's all it tells us. It identifies them. Yeah, love that joke. Damn near killed the guy. Yeah, wrecked him. Damn near killed him. But that's fascinating because we have viscum album. Now, we could use one of those 2 medicines. There's no doubt about it. And I would urge you to consider that, to consider one of those 2 remedies. Hydrogenum and viscum album, or viscous album. Sometimes it's written one way, sometimes it's written another way. And so, if you didn't know what I'm going to teach you tonight, and what I alluded to last weekend, if you didn't know, you might just automatically go to the repertory and find that. Now, you're not going to just use them, right? You're going to go to another book. You're going to go to a Materia Medica. Now, you don't have to own Robin Murphy's. This is the 4th edition of his Nature's Materia Medica. And you don't have to do this. You can find, as I say every week, you can find Materia Medicas that are on sale, that are online at no charge. You just open them up, there they are. And so for those who are, no, I'm not saying pyrogenium. It's not pyrogenium. But for those of you who, my assistant or my, I don't know if it's Natalie tonight or I don't know who's with me tonight. Anyway, whoever it is, please jot in the notes, or those who are my students, jot in the notes the names of the Materia Medicas that are for free online, so people can look them up. And the reason you look into Materia Medica is because you want to know whether or not that particular medicine fits the symptoms that the person is suffering. So, I say, you folks are so funny. I love it. I love being with you. I wish we had more time together. It really is a blast being with you. So someone must be talking about pyrogenium, but I'm not talking about pyrogenium. So, no, instead, I am saying viscous album. But having said that, I believe one of the top medicines for explosive, severe, debilitating diarrhea is veratrum album. 2 words. Veratrum album. And I have used it in the past when I was very sick with, I'm guessing, amoebic dysentery, because that's what people get when they're in India. I was very sick. I mean, I actually required a wheelchair in order to get out of the hotel and to the airport, and then all the way into the airport. I was so, in fact, up until I took Veratrum album, and I'll tell you how I took it, until I took it, there was no way I could get off the floor. I mean, literally, I was just on the floor. And part of the way, other times I was only in bed. There was no way I could muster up enough energy to even sit in a wheelchair. And so, oh, Serena, thanks, Serena. I'm glad to see you here. It's great. Thanks. Um, and so I used Veratrum album 200 and I mixed it, took it simultaneously with cuprum metallicum. I'm saying it slowly for those who are no cuprum. Now, cuprum metallicum is interesting. It is, excuse me, it's copper and it's specific for spasms. And wouldn't you say that explosive diarrhea, or any kind of diarrhea for that matter, when it's intense, is spasmodic? And that combination of those two medicines, I took one dose, and within very short order, to be honest, I don't remember, but I'm going to say maybe it was 20 minutes. I felt at least enough improved, not well, but enough improved that I could sit in a wheelchair and even consider being wheeled to a cab and then to the airport and then throughout the airport. Now, Jennifer's saying Veratrum album plus podophyllum. Podophyllum is also a very useful homeopathic medicine for diarrhea, and that is also a strong contendant. So I want you to think there is not necessarily just one remedy for this condition. Some of it depends on how it is, how it's presenting. Is it watery? Is it cramping? Is it painful? Is it weakening? Is it voluminous? Explosive? All of those have something to do with the choice. But even with all of those descriptors, we can still count on some of the most commonly used medicines for diarrhea, regardless of the etiology. And that would be, I believe, Veratrum album, cuprum metallicum. I want you also to think of another album, arsenicum album, especially if there's burning in the pain, rectal burning anywhere. Could be, even though the problem is rectal, it could be burning in the mouth. Yes. How would you take these simultaneously or alternating? Put one dose in your mouth. If you're going to take them simultaneously, you put the dose in your mouth, and while you've got the other one in your hand, you put that in your mouth. That's simultaneous. It's really not any more illogical than that. It's very simple. If you're alternating, you take Veratrum album, and then perhaps you use cuprum metallicum 5 or 10 minutes later, then back to Veratrum. Now, it's not just one dose, my friends, although one dose really did make a big difference for me. I kept taking it from that time on in the airport and then again on the plane, and it was a very long trip because we were in Calcutta, and that takes 2 days, 2.5 days to get home from Calcutta. And so we had to stop in Dubai, et cetera, et cetera. So I was taking these medicines every couple of hours. And as I improved, I tapered off. I backed off a little bit. And as I improved further, I backed off more. And as I improved even further than that, I backed off even further. And by the time we got home, I was weakened because I had lost a lot of fluids. I'd perspired a lot as well. And then I went to, let's see, my wonderful students. My wonderful students are going to know exactly what I used next to help with my loss of fluids, which is so common. Loss of fluids is much more common than you might realize, friends. Hemorrhaging, giving birth, a nursing mother has lost fluids, right? Chronic lacrimation, the eyes running a lot, nose running a lot. China, thank you, Kristen. Kristen's from Japan. Thank you, Kristen. China says, Shelley says China. Greetings from Deborah. Yes, China 200. You bet. There it is. What dosages? That's it. China 200. Then we would use this, given that these medicines are not vitamins, they're not supplements, they're medicine. And so you take it when it's needed. If you need another dose, you take another dose. if you've taken a second or a third dose and now there's improvement, then you open it up, the space, and you don't use it as frequently. That is my message to you. That's my best information that I can give you tonight. Now, let me also say, remember when I showed you that whole list of all the homeopathic medicines for diarrhea? If these medicines don't act, don't say, oh no, homeopathy doesn't work for me. Or I must be a different kind of a case. Or this must be, maybe it isn't really just diarrhea. Maybe something else is going on. Maybe I have leaky gut and diarrhea. My friends, these medicines that I'm teaching you tonight are generally the medicines that are the most commonly found to be useful. It doesn't mean that there aren't other medicines to consider here. I want you to remember that. Okay? I'm hoping that that's making sense. I'm looking at the time and some of the questions that are coming in. Let's see what else we've got here. Let me get to your medicines. China, you bet. Loss of fluids, you bet. Absolutely. Oh, good students. Such good students. Podophyllum. Yep, podophyllum is the other one. Camphora works for me. Okay, well, that's interesting. So camphora works. I'm not sure how you mean that. That would be really interesting to know. Not sure, but I think most of the active chat is on, okay, it's on YouTube Live. Yes, you're right. And so I'm going to you now as well. Let's see what else we've got here. If I've got any other questions. Lycopodium is also helpful. So, Caro, lycopodium is a very good medicine, particularly if there's bloating, gastrointestinal bloating, or flatus, or even indigestion, or feeling of heaviness and fullness in the abdomen. So lycopodium can be very useful. Even in diarrhea, even though it is known for bloating, we can also, of course, use it for diarrhea that's associated with bloating or flatus. Okay. China stands for cinchona bark. So it seems like that's kind of odd. Why would they write down China or China officinalis? So there are two names for China officinalis or cinchona bark. It's all the same. Same medicine. All right. Let's see what else we've got. Every 15 minutes of acute, says Jennifer. Yes, could be every 15 minutes, exactly how I did it when I was in Calcutta. Yes, thank you, Elizabeth. Nice to see you. Napmure. Could we use Napmure? Napmure is in the repertory under diarrhea. There's no doubt. Absolutely. Especially for loss of fluids. There's no doubt it could be a good one. I particularly like these because Napmure can Napmure be used for an acute? Yes, it can. But these are the top, generally the top acute medicines. And we definitely can consider Napmure. And would I use a Napmure for, you're thinking of perhaps for loss of fluids. I would think of it as secondary to China. I'm sorry, I misunderstood your question. Napmure would be secondary to China. I think China is so paramount when it comes to fluid loss. I guess this could help with irritable bowel syndrome. Could, but we have a specific protocol for irritable bowel syndrome. I've talked about it on my blog. You could do this, Joette Calabrese, irritable bowel syndrome. And I also have entire courses on a lot of these conditions. All right. So let's see what else I've got because it was flipping so quickly that I don't know. A year or two ago, my sister had terrible diarrhea, vomiting, and stomach cramps, Ipecac 30, stomach cramp, Arsenicum album 200, Veratrum album 200, and Cuprum 6 got her through it. China and Bioplasma were helpful too. That was frightening. Yes. So with the Ipecac is for the vomiting. Very good choice, Elizabeth. Arsenicum album can also be for vomiting and diarrhea. Veratrum album for the diarrhea. Cuprum also for the diarrhea and the cramping. And then China for the loss of fluids. And Bioplasma can also be useful because the Bioplasma is just one of those great little, backups. All right, let's see what else we've got here. Other questions that are coming in. Yeah, Ipecac is quite specific for nausea, relentless nausea, vomiting, bleeding. Can also we're not talking about a condition of the bleeding condition tonight, but it can be a great remedy for bleeding. It can be a great remedy for a cough, especially a relentless cough. So if with the diarrhea, accompanying it is also a cough that's relentless, Ipecac could be the medicine. You're absolutely right. Yes, it could be. Or if there's terrible nausea associated with this diarrhea, we could use both medicines. Let's say which medicine what might we choose. We're going to start with the Ipecac because we know the nausea and the vomiting, and we could also consider adding lycopodium if there's bloating, or veratrum album if it's voluminous diarrhea, intense diarrhea, etc. Okay, let's see what everyone else is talking about here. It kind of scrolls up so quickly, sometimes I miss. My sister had relentless nausea, excessive saliva. That's where the Ipecac seemed to help her. Interesting, because Ipecac is particularly valuable if there's nausea that causes excessive saliva. But also, I want you to think, my dear Elizabeth, one of my wonderful students in the academy, always on point. You could also be thinking of another remedy, Mercurius Sol or Mercurius V for that excessive saliva. Carrie says, Delhi belly. You're right, Carrie. That's right. I think I must have had Delhi Indian restaurant in Indiana. Well, it is Indiana after all. I always say, don't leave home without your kit, certainly, your homeopathy kit. And people who spend time going to other places where the microorganisms are much different than what we're accustomed to certainly need to have veratrum album, cuprum metallicum, arsenicum album. And I always think of Montezuma's Revenge. Generally, I think of arsenicum album for that. But these others can also be very useful. There we go. Thanks, Serena. Yep, there we go. Elizabeth says, Donna, don't get confused with Cinna. Spelling is everything, friends. Cinna is different than China. China, Cinna. Cinna is not related to the diarrhea, at least this conversation. It can have diarrhea from time to time, but or not from time to time. Cinna can incorporate diarrhea, but not in the conversation that we're having tonight. Cuprum, yeah, same thing. I mean, it's how often? We're going to use it just as often as we use the veratrum album, Cuprum 6. I always have trouble differentiating which one to choose. Well, you got to go to your Materia Medica. Must. You can't just say, okay, let's just use this protocol. You must go to your Materia Medica and read up on it. And then read it again. And then read it again. And so that you really fully understand it. And then you move from there. And also, it's just a matter of doing this over and over and over. And those students of mine who do the best are the ones with a lot of dogs or a lot of cats or have a large family, a lot of children. They're working with a number of people. They're teaching the gateway courses, so they're working with many people. They're hearing the stories from other people in their groups. So it's all about numbers. Do it over and over and over again, and that's how this all comes together. All right, we've got just about 2 minutes. Let's see what we've got left here. Cheryl asks, has anyone traveled internationally and had any issues with TSA confiscating homeopathic meds? I've heard they will take away certain medicines. It's never happened to me. It's never happened. I tell them that they're medicines, and they are medicines, and they're my medicines, that what I need in order to get to my destination. Just like someone would need, if they had type 1 diabetes, they would have their insulin with them. So no, they should not be confiscating. I've not heard of that, but boy, I'd like to know if that is happening and what countries we're talking about. But some meds may be illegal in other countries, and that's certainly possible. But these remedies that that are sold here in the U.S., it's pretty conservative here. Not very many remedies are illegal that are purchased in the U.S. and other countries. All right. Is there a source that I might find your academy students teaching courses? Asks Linda. Yes, go to Joette's Learning Center and go to Gateway to Homeopathy, And you can actually call my office and speak to Eileen, who's just lovely. She's there Tuesday through Saturday. And she'll tell you who's teaching what. And she gives you a lot of information. So just call my office Tuesday through Saturday, and you'll get a lot of information. Yeah, Leonore says, I've not had any problems with and I do a lot of traveling, friends. I've never had any trouble, both nationally, within the country and internationally. I've never had trouble. No, I live in Japan and travel to and fro from the U.S. and have never had any issues. You know what I have done is I've strike up a conversation with the officers. One time there was a woman who was an officer, and I asked her, "Are you a mom? Do you have children?" And she said, "Yes." I said, "Honey, you need this information. Let me give you some information." And I wrote down, your children get, and I always know pretty much, if you've got small children, do they get ear infections? Yes. And I wrote down the name of the medicine that I think would be the best. I wrote it down and I said, get it on, wherever you can get it. Now, this was in, I don't remember, maybe it was Dubai. And I wrote it down for her, and you become friends with them. You want to turn people on to this, friends. Humanity needs this in such a big way. I hate to tell you, friends, now that I've passed the torch on to you, this is your job. You must now help others. You can't keep this quiet. If these remedies, if veratrum album mixed with or alternating with cuprum metallicum helps you must tell your neighbor. You're obligated. If you knew the answer to world peace, would you keep it to yourself? Well, this is pretty close. Could be peaceful in the next household over in your neighborhood. So this is now our obligation to other humans. That's how this works. And so even if you're brand new, just know that this is going to be such an important part of your life. It's going to catapult your family to a completely different level of health and understanding of health. Because it's more than just knowing which medicine for which condition. This is a philosophy. It's a beautiful lifestyle. It doesn't mean you have to change your lifestyle, but we can't help but start noticing that nature needs to be understood. The nature of humanity. And lest we get too humanistic here, I'm going to tell you, I believe this is God's medicine. It's not owned by anyone. Veratrum album is just a plant. Allium cepa is just an onion that's been made into a homeopathic medicine. Cannot be owned. And it's so inexpensive, no side effects. It's almost, once you learn this, it almost seems ridiculous not to at least find out more about these medicines for yourself and your family. Just that alone. That's where our intellect comes into our big heart. It becomes our obligation. And especially for women, now I know that Bob is here and Harry is here, and I know that you treat people. I know that you're helping people all the time. But for women, my friends, this is women's work. This is where we belong. Taking care of the sick, helping our families, propping them up, learning how to take care of other humans and animals and even plants. This could change the world. It's possible. It does seem improbable sometimes, but it is quite possible. Mother Teresa used homeopathy. That's what she was doing on the streets of Calcutta. And by the way, Dr. Prasanta Banerjee met her a number of times because they were both in Calcutta, of course. And so I just was interviewed today, and I talked about Beethoven and how his doctor, Beethoven was a non-compliant patient. He hated doctors. He didn't want to have anything to do with them. But in the 20s, maybe, I think it was, he became very sick with a gastrointestinal condition, and He went to his doctor, I hope I get this right, Braunheimer, I think his name was, who cured him. Beethoven was so impressed with the cure because he suffered with this gastrointestinal condition for 6 years, and his doctor cured him. And so he wrote 2 canons for his homeopathic doctor. And shortly after, once he said he couldn't even write a note. He was so sick for those years until his doctor cured him. Then one of his best quartets came out right after he was cured. So that's just one. I could tell a story every week. In fact, maybe that's what we should be talking about. I'll give you some great information every week, perhaps, and tell you who else in history has used and counted on homeopathy. And so, I'm so over my time. It's great being with you. Thank you for trusting me, friends. Thank you for being with me every week. Help yourself, help yourselves, help your husbands, your children, your dogs, your cats, your goats. Help others. Learn just enough to be able to do that. You don't have to know everything, just a handful. And so with that, I say God bless you all. Have a great night, and I'll see you next Monday. And I'm going on to my Mighties now. So stay with me for my Mighties, Joette's Mighty members. Good night to everyone else.